Hello and welcome to the Switch RPG podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined by Jonny.
Yo!
Johnny, how you doing, bud?
I'm good.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're all good.
I'm looking sharp.
You are looking sharp.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was dress up day.
I'm looking like a Point Dexter.
Man, if I had known, I would have done that.
I hate the way I look.
That's all right. I have to go to work in a shirt and tie, and it's just it's kind of stinks. But anyway, if this is your first time listening, this is the show from Switchrpg where we bring you the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. This week we're talking about Kickstarter Syndrome. I'm going to call it
Kickstarter Syndrome.
I'm calling it Kickstarter Syndrome.
I would call it like Kickstarter hijacking.
Kickstarter hijacking. We'll figure out the terminology.
It's hijacking.
Whatever it is. And also just platinum. We're talking about platinum. That's a lot of what we're talking about.
And they're hijacking.
And a lot more. But first, we're not going to get into what you're playing.
What? Why not?
Because we have some housekeeping.
We do have housekeeping.
We got to clean up the house.
Segment 0. And like computers, we all start counting at 0.
We're all zeros and ones, buddy.
Yes.
Yes, again, don't forget to join our Discord, discord.switchrpg.com. We have tons of channels there, a lot going on. People talking about Nintendo Switch, RPGs in general. Actually, we talk about all games there. Nobody is left out, so please join our Discord, as well as our Twitter, SwitchRPG. And we do have stuff for sale if you're interested. We have some Switch RPG merch at shop.switchrpg.com, I think. Anyway, on our Discord, we also had a Scale Boy AMA this past weekend. Went very well. Went about an hour long.
Scale Boy.
Scale Boy. Yes. Is that what I...
It sounded like you said scale.
Scale Boy.
Scale Boy.
Scale Boy. Developers Umagi Games, I think. They're from Germany. There's quite a few developers had a really good time. It's a little different because they're on a totally different time zone. So it was during the afternoon, rather than during the evening hours.
How did it go? Or did they give some good responses?
Yes, very good responses. A lot of newcomers to the Discord coming in to to ask their questions. And typically, my question is always first. It is, and it's always
the opener.
I always get the opener, and it's always is Zelda Breath of the Wild, an RPG, and it's always funny to get the responses because there are some who say yes, it is, and then there's some that say no,
and those are wrong.
They're not wrong because Per Schneider from IGN said it's not. So what does he know? Anyway, Skellboy went really, really well. I am trying to work our next AMA, so we'll see how it goes. It's a little difficult because they're from Australia, and so that'll...
I think I know who they are.
I don't think you do.
I think I do.
All right.
Does it involve bugs?
I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, this is normally the segment where we thank our patrons, and I do want to thank them all, but here's the thing. We're no longer doing Patreon anymore. We're at the point where we can do their website and everything without the need for Patreons. But we want to thank all patrons from the past. Thank you all so very, very much. Yes, 4 thumbs up. 4 thumbs up. Without you guys, a lot would not be accomplished. So we want to thank you all. A lot of them were there from the start, so it's really nice to see that. And yeah, it was excellent. Also, some more, I guess this is not really housekeeping type of stuff. We are preparing. Well, I am.
We are. For different reasons.
Yes, you're right. We're preparing for PAX East coming up at the end of this month.
Yeah.
So we're going through a lot of scheduling type of stuff. We are hoping to maybe do a live or at least a recorded podcast there.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do that. Also, Evan from the site is also going to be there. So we're going to have a little bit of a Switch RPG presence there. So, and also, but before PAX East 2020, you and I are also going to do kind of a field trip. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's wrong because you confused me on this. Boston Fig.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Boston Fig was supposed to be, I think, the week before PAX East.
Look, Everyone got confused on that.
Because their main website it has not been changed. Like, these people work with computers, I would think. They should know to change their stuff. So it really confused people.
Yeah.
Apparently, Boston Fig is a... do you want to describe what that is?
Sure. So there is this larger collective in the greater Boston area, kind of New England, but not entirely New England. It's mostly Massachusetts based, but it does involve people in like Maine, New Hampshire, and stuff like that. Called the Boston Indies, and it's a group of indie game developers. There's other subgroups. There's like the Boston Postmortem, and there's Boston Fig, and there's also Women in Gaming's. There's a Boston division for that, and we all sort of intermingle with one another. And one of these interminglings is Boston Fig hosts this sort of like developer convention. So think of it like GDC, but for Boston-based indie developers. It's kind of like that. And they have people, various professionals. They'll do like talks. They'll do like lunch and learn stuff. And they talk about all sorts of things like business and coding and art and like being a product manager, all sorts of weird, cool stuff like
Just
that.
different aspects involved in game making.
In game making. And it's not just video games. They have branched out, I don't know when, probably for a few years now at the least, or maybe since ever. Certainly Boston Fig, they've always incorporated physical games, so board gaming and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yep. So they're now they're doing digital and analog right now. So
yeah, and once again, the Fig stuff has been analog for quite a long time, probably way more than just a couple of years. But there are other, as I said, there are other divisions that are specifically for gaming. There's others that are specifically for like there's the Game Makers Guild Boston section that is specifically for analog game development. So
right, and the whole reason why I brought this up is because we're going to it, and it was going to be the week prior to PAX East, and it's now I think
May, first weekend of May.
First week of May. So we'll be hitting on that at some point.
Yep. And the goal is to pretty much interview developers, potentially have them show off stuff. I covered a Boston Fig Talks event probably about 2 or 3 years ago when I was working at the Geek Down. And I interviewed a bunch of developers, got to see a bunch of interesting games. There's videos that we had on YouTube at some point that you could have seen at some point, but those are now gone. So we're probably going to recreate that sort of experience. And it was pretty cool because I saw some cool looking games.
Right. And obviously we'll try and keep it, tuned down to Nintendo Switch type of RPGs. So,
but a heads up. Most of these games, almost all the games, are developed on PC first. Pretty much, and especially if it's indie, they're going to be developed on indie first, and most likely or not, if they can put it on Switch, they want to put it on Switch.
I did look back and see some of the Boston indie games, and there were actually a lot of them that are already on the Switch now.
The 20XX game.
Yep.
That is a Boston indie developed game, hit PC first many years ago and is on Switch.
Right.
So, that's just one example off the top of my head.
I saw Killer Queen Black.
But they're not Boston.
They're not Boston, but they were there. So I mean, that's not an RPG, but there were other RPGs that I looked on the list, and and they're they're rearing, I bet, to be on the Switch. So gonna be cool. Gonna be really cool. So yeah, what are you playing?
So I finished The Outer Worlds.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
What it would be like if I didn't have the kids. I just can't sit down long enough to get this stuff that I want to accomplish. But I do get a lot of gaming, and considering I do have 2 kids and a wife that hogs up a lot of my time. But The Outer Worlds. What'd you think?
So I was very thorough going through the various areas. The first planet was at Terra, with the Vale area. Being very thorough there, being very thorough at the Groundbreaker, being very thorough when you revisit certain areas of Terra 2. and I was also very thorough on Monarch, just like trying to resolve all the side quests and stuff like that. I was being pretty thorough. But at some point in Monarch, it just felt like...
It's more of a chore.
Well, it was a failure of the combat system, progression system, and RPG mechanics of the game that were related to promotion of combat and sort of discoverability or adventuring. That whole side of it. Now, the dialogue side of the RPG mechanics is solid. Good stuff. But sort of the drive to explore new areas, to discover new things, to engage in combat with creatures and stuff like that, it just became super samey and non-challenging, and not engaging enough. The combat scenarios didn't really change up all that much,
right?
If at all. The weapon, you weren't getting new weapon types. The loot system is like a huge flaw in my eyes. It's just a very poorly done, poorly balanced, uninteresting. It works, but it's very uninteresting in how it works for the loot system. So it just turned into, by the time I got to the end of Monarch, I'm like, all right, I think I had my fill of this game. Let's complete it. So from, after you finish the main quest line of Monarch, I kind of beelined for the most part to beat the game. And that's pretty much what I did. I beat the game.
Yep. That's kind of how I felt as well.
Yeah.
It felt really repetitive towards, I would say, almost the midway point. It was really kind of repetitive, but you're right. The dialogues, options, the characters were interesting. So it did have a lot of positives, yeah. I think. But maybe the next iteration they can kind of work out some of those little things. And
I do like some of the ending storyline segments were poorly done, but serviceable. I'll say that. Overall, it was good, and you could tell when you get to the ending, there's multiple endings in the game, and the endings are based on what you did in the game and what quest lines you progress through, and that's cool. So it means that the final ending, because you're getting a big picture synopsis of multiple facets and multiple angles of the result, the state of the world, X number of years later, and all that's cool. I like that they did it. It's not special, but the fact that they did put it in there and they were thorough enough for that. I mean, if you've played Fire Emblem, you got this type of ending system already. You kind of know what to expect, right? You either have a party member that died and can no longer give you an extra excerpt in the final ending, or they're still alive and you get some new details about some new angle in there. That's like Fire Emblem endgame stuff. So this one kind of had that. So yeah, it was good. It was satisfying. It if you go at it from scratching that Fallout, Elder Scrolls, futuristic itch, it scratches it pretty good. But I will say it's not worth doing everything, especially if it's your jam. Do everything.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your jam, you're probably going to do everything.
Do everything. But if you're kind of getting a little tired over, and if it's feeling samey, beeline and beat it. Like, don't let it linger, because it's going to be that. It's not going to change its formula at all.
And it doesn't. Yeah, it definitely doesn't. But yeah, what else you got? I see a few things on the list here.
Yeah, still playing Radiant Historia, Smash Ultimate, and the Banner Saga. The Banner Saga is starting to pick up.
The Banner Saga?
Banner Saga. Banner.
That's just your New England coming out.
That's New England.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
I guess. So in the Banner Saga, the I don't know if this, maybe I did something wrong, or maybe I missed something in the story, but like the initial group that you're with, they're now gone.
Disbanded.
Now I'm with another group.
Did you do something of consequence? I don't remember.
Well, like, apparently, like, this important person died. I don't want to say who. With the first initial group I was with, And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, here's this other group. Like this completely different, the map, it shows you the world map and it moves to a different part of the world. And now I'm like with a totally different group. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that's going to be the main focus of the game is with that group. Because I played with them for a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's not switching back. What happened?
What did I do?
What did I do? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility that they're dead, or maybe that's how the story goes. I didn't get that far, so I didn't. However far you are, you're already further than I was.
Okay. The game's starting now to make a little bit of sense, but man, it has a very rough opening. It's
slow.
Well, it's just not polished in presentation.
And like I think I said this last time. Banner Saga 2 is better than 1, and then 3 is better than 2. That's the general consensus. So they do improve on things.
Yeah, it's just it's a little rough to get into. It doesn't explain itself very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It tries. It tries.
So that's what I've been playing. What have you not been playing?
No.
Let me guess.
Don't do it.
Divinity.
Don't even. You said it. I'm done with it. No, I'm not. No, I've been playing that game.
I know you've been playing. I saw you playing it.
I'm always
on
playing.
Switch.
You know what? Man, I can't tell you. I absolutely love that game. I say it all the time. I can't glow enough about that game. Anyway, Divinity Original Sin 2, Ember. I'm playing still, and I picked up Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales, if you're not familiar, is it's a spin-off of The Witcher 3. Yeah. And in a spin-off, meaning it's something very, 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 very different. Set in the same world.
This is not like third person.
No.
It is the third person view, but it's
a nice, it's an isometric view. It's got a very, very, very unique art style that I absolutely love. But it is focused around story, and the story is done very, very well,
as Witcher games are,
right? And
you're not explaining it.
No.
In a way it deviates.
I mean, it could. Yes, I will explain how it deviates. I will get to that. But I think what's important though is that the story. I think I'm about maybe 4 or 5 hours into this 30-hour game. This is it's a longer game than what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, I thought you just picked it up. You actually played a decent amount.
Yeah. No, I've been playing. Right. Because I'm trying to, and I'll tell you why. I'm really trying to figure things out.
You took a break from Divinity.
Yeah. No. Not true. But anyway, it is very story heavy, and Geralt isn't in it yet. Your main character, as is right now, is Queen Meve. And if you're familiar with the book, she is also in the books. She's not in the series, but
the video game series.
Yes. She's not, or the television series.
Well, she might be in Witcher 1 or 2.
I've never played Witcher 1 or 2.
I played a little bit of Witcher 1. That's it.
It's a possibility she may be in 1 or 2. She's definitely not in 3, and she's also not in the television series. But she's definitely in the books because I've read it. I'm gonna be one of those book snobs for a second. Anyway, so it's got a very unique art style. It's got it's very story heavy. Now, okay, it does have the combat system it's not Gwent.
It's Gwenty.
It's Gwenty. It is very Gwenty because I went in thinking, all right, I know Gwent. I'm familiar with Gwent because I played a lot of Gwent for some strange reason in The Witcher 3. Yeah. I know Gwent. I can figure this out.
You're duped.
I was duped. And it was more the Xbox achievement system that really got me hooked on it, to be perfectly honest. So I can figure this out. So I get into my first challenge. The tutorials are perfect. They explain everything great. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's been a while since I played Gwent. Yep. I don't remember any of this stuff. It's different. It doesn't have your three lines each. It has 2 lines. It's got really kind of unique animations.
It's got like
playing out
stuff that happens in the game.
Right.
Affects the Gwent card combat.
Right. The affects how the battle plays out. Yeah. For example,
gives a different scenario.
Yeah. So for example, these villagers are being played by this hag. Okay. So that actual hag is kind of it's an actually side quest, but it's also was it that one? I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't think that one was a puzzle. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So there are different battle systems, one of which is called a puzzle. And it is a battle, but you have to, there's certain ways to do it. So they give you only a specific set of cards, and you have to figure out how to play these cards in order to beat the puzzle. And you have to do it in one round, and you have to make sure you defeat this person. So
it's more scenario driven.
Yeah, very scenario driven. And for example, it's not always just a battle. So you're not always fighting bandits. There was a rock wall that was tumbling. So you get up to this rock wall, and this is in the very
wall.
This is right in the very beginning. I'm not like, this is probably within the first hour.
Bring out the Belmonts. Whip
it. And basically,
eat some chicken.
They're the cards that you're fighting are boulders, and they're coming closer to you as they change lanes. So there's things like that, and there's more that I don't really want to spoil, but it's
copying from Zelda.
It's very interesting in the way they handle these card battles.
Yeah.
So, and there's a whole bunch of things in there. There's treasures, there's card pieces that you have to get. There's kind of unique cards. And like I said,
are you building a collection?
You're building a deck. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're building a collection, a deck.
And you're able to manage that outside of combat, like
yes.
At some point
what you're basically doing is you're building your deck outside of combat. You're also, the way you level up your deck is by collecting resources, so crowns, soldiers, and wood planks.
What's that do? Like leveling up your deck, does that make the same card, but they sort of make it more efficient?
You can upgrade your cards as well.
For example, the same power unit, but costs one less mana, whatever.
Right. No, that there is the opportunity to do that as well. So you get your set of cards of what infantry or whatever it is, and you can upgrade it, and it does one more damage or one more strength or whatever. But there is this kind of kind of encampment system where there's a workshop where you gain more resources per battle, or there's costs and perks to this. So there's a whole bunch of variations.
Yeah, but that sounds like it would complement a more traditional card combat. So it sounds like there's scenario, like puzzle scenario, card combat or card interaction stuff, and then there's scenarios where it's based on your deck. Because obviously the scenario,
right? The scenarios they give you a specific set of cards, and there's only one way to get a favorable outcome.
Yeah. So obviously, improving your deck does nothing for that scenario.
For those, right?
So that would be like your typical like enter a dungeon in some RPG, and you have to solve the puzzle mechanics of that dungeon, which is independent of how far leveled or your character build,
right,
or your party makeup,
right.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, there are other card-based games that I've played, and this is just very different than all of them. So SteamWorld Quest, different than that. I've seen Cardpocalypse, different than that. And there's one other one that was really popular. I can't really think of.
Bait and Kados.
Well, the Bait and Kados, that's like from like a million years ago. But there's another one anyway that people go crazy for. Slay the Spire. Bingo. Again, this is just different than all of them. Yep. But it is Gwenty. So I will say, if you despised Gwent, if you're on that side of the aisle, you may not like the game.
I don't think anyone despises Gwent. It's just Gwent. But this is like Gwent with the thematic flair that it needed. That's what it sounds like. Yeah,
and I so far the thematic flair that you call is really, really good.
Cool.
Really, really good.
Cool.
So yeah, that is what I've been playing. Now, on to the news.
I don't know if we need to pull up this link.
No.
We could talk about this.
Yeah, we could talk about it. Yeah, you don't need to pull up the link. So, March 5th is going to be an important day for Netflix and Castlevania fans. Yeah! Season 3 of Castlevania is set to be released. And I'm going to be honest.
Is that a naked Alucard?
I'm not going to... I don't know.
Who's that naked man?
I don't know. There's a naked dude on the poster. But either way, I thought this was going to be a little bit later. And it's earlier than what I expected. I am pumped for this.
Yeah.
So, Castlevania, coming to Netflix, March, was it 5th? Is that what I said?
Oh, look at that background. Is that Legion?
Ooh.
All right, so they got Carmilla. Oh, there's Alucard. What am I doing? So that's not naked Alucard. That's Alucard. That was way off. That's Carmilla. I forgot who that old man is. That might be a new character.
For the audio listeners, we're looking at a Castlevania picture.
We're looking at the poster, yeah. For season 3.
So we're really excited about this because the first 2 seasons were excellent. The second season being, I think, a step above the first season.
A huge step up.
A huge step up.
The first season was just basically
it was just a little bit
tease.
a little bit of a taste of what Castlevania had to offer. And I think, man, if they could do this for Castlevania, they should be able to do this for. I would love to see in the same art style a Legend of Zelda in this theme, or what else could you see in this?
So Castlevania, it just has the theme, it has the backstory and lore, and a rabid fan base to tap into. There's, I think there's rumors, or maybe it's official, I don't know, of a Capcom, Devil May Cry.
Oh yes,
getting a similar treatment. But I don't know, I don't think Devil May Cry has the rich backstory and lore.
So I know
in the world, I know Devil May Cry is really just Capcom's version of Castlevania.
Yeah,
but more actiony.
More actiony, more guns, maybe.
More guns. Devil May Cry just feels like a little bit more. What's the word? Generic? Not generic. It's just I like the notion of Castlevania because it sort of lives in the timeline that it takes place, right? Whereas Devil May Cry is taking this old timeline and merging it with modern day stuff.
Okay.
Like motorcycles and guns and stuff like that. Yes, there's guns and motorcycles in Castlevania. Right?
I'm like,
Castlevania takes place over hundreds and hundreds of years, potentially 1,000+ years. So eventually there's going to be guns in Castlevania and motorcycles.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that could get this treatment that I would enjoy. Legend of Zelda would be one of them. I think you could have Legend of Zelda in many different formats and looks and styles.
I don't know, because would they make Link talk?
That's always a big thing.
If Link talks, which I'm cool with,
he has to.
Then it could work. But if they don't have Link talk, I don't think it'll work.
No, you would have to have Link talk.
That means Link is going to be an emotional character.
He is an emotional character without actually talking.
The emotion is the same emotion as Samus. Link and Samus are the same character, emotional character.
How about Samus?
They're both stoic.
Anime.
They're both reserved and stoic in that portrayal. Samus would be great. I would love it. It's basically an alien animated, whatever series.
Right.
That'd be great, except there would be no dialogue.
No, you would have to. Obviously, you'd have to do something.
No, don't make Samus talk.
Oh, jeez, come on.
She don't need to.
She needs to talk.
The stoic part of Samus works for Samus, but to do that for Link, I don't think works for Link, because he's interacting with so many other interactable, intelligent beings. Whereas Samus, there's bugs everywhere and flying critters and things.
And she doesn't say a word.
She can't communicate with. If Samus talked, half the time she'd be swearing like a pirate. She probably swears like a pirate all the time.
Probably, but if you saw some alien life form and it's it's about to you're gonna say something.
Yeah, you're gonna say beep beep beep.
Yeah,
she's gonna be beeping up a storm.
You gotta say something.
Yeah, what is this green stuff that's on me? Not again. I just bathed.
I guess you're right. There are really no other NPCs or any other characters in a Metroid world. It's just other alien forms.
If they're there, they're already dead.
Yeah.
Or they're an AI.
Yeah, so maybe that wouldn't work.
We're not counting Other M. That doesn't count.
No, nobody counts Other M. Anyway, we're going to move on from this. So Tiny Build, the publisher, has announced Hellpoint coming to the Switch in April.
Yep.
Now, Hellpoint is... it looks really cool. I think. I think it's got some potential to be good. And the way they described it is some sort of a Souls-like experience, I think, in a unique setting, they said.
Yeah, Souls-like gameplay in a unique setting, as you said. It kind of looks like, and you mentioned this, it's kind of like a Dead Space.
Yeah.
But with Souls kind of combat.
Right, so I don't even know what that means anymore. Souls-like combat. People just use that term so liberally. I don't even know like what that describes anymore.
Especially when they're toting as a feature jump in co-op in PvP multiplayer.
So that's a Dark Souls-esque feature.
But
is it
on
though?
Couch.
Yeah,
so
not on a couch.
Co-op. So this game, when you look at the trailer of it, and I mentioned this, and we had like a little talk about it, it looks more like a hack and slash than a Souls-like combat system.
Right. It definitely looks more like a button masher. But I mean, when I think Dark Souls, I'm thinking stamina, gauges or meters. Yeah. You're learning your enemies' move sets, and there's some sort of, I guess, evasion or dodge mechanic with your invincibility frames, that sort of stuff. That's what I think of Souls-like. What they're describing as Souls-like, I don't know. I have no idea. Again, everyone's meaning of Souls-like is just so very different.
I think with Souls combat, it's really that proximity, like really being close, like up close and personal with one-on-one combat with something, and you're gonna fight this one thing for a bit of time. There's been games that come close to it, but like really nailing that feel, that sort of weightiness of the combat. It doesn't even have to be weighty. It can be very, very fast, as they've done in Bloodborne.
And is it Sekiro?
Yeah, that one's pretty fast too. Not as fast as Bloodborne.
Okay.
But yeah, that's also a pretty quick one. Very different combat system, but like they're all very much melee focused, up close and personal. You have to read, as you mentioned, you have to read your opponent, whatever enemy you're going up against, read their attacks, what they're about to do, what animation is playing from them, and then respond accordingly. Especially in Sekiro. Sekiro, yeah, you definitely have to read your opponent, and obviously Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, you can get away with holding up that shield. Hold it up.
Yeah, but it doesn't last forever.
The shield?
Yeah.
You don't need to. Just block one shot, whack them. Done.
Block and poke.
Block and poke.
Anyway, Hellpoint, check it out. I think it's got some things it's doing well. So
graphically looks good. I mean, promising. Keep your eyes and ears peeled.
Peel your eyes and ears.
Yes, because this is also like Event Horizon-y looking.
It's kind of nice. We're actually going to skip that next one, unless you really want to talk about it. Not that one. With the Switchrpg status there, the Twitter status.
What was that?
It was about the Witch game.
Oh, let's talk about it.
All right, cool. We'll talk about it. So I recently posted a tweet. I guess I tweeted out something just keep on the horizon, just a look-see at. It's a game that's still in development called Witch. Which is I think it's been not promised. They've said that it's coming out to the Switch at some point.
They have high hopes, but
definitely coming to PC or Steam.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Heartstrings Studios.
Heartstrings Studios, yeah. Now they have if you go to their YouTube channel, Heartstrings Studios, they have a dev blog that they kind of go through the trials and tribulations, as well as different art styles they've kind of messed with. Now, what this game is really kind of doing that's interesting is the, dare I say, HD 2D type of thing. So it's basically your character is pixel art, and it's done in a realistic backdrop. And your character moves in a 3D space. So I guess it's similar in the vein of Octopath, whereas in Octopath the background it's not realistic.
Right, but the background, the environment of Octopath was very much in 3D, but they textured it in sprite-looking textures. This one, the background looks like it's a Unreal
type of
more realistic. It almost looks like it's in Skyrim, like a Skyrim world.
Yeah, you could say that, and your characters are pixel art. Now, and again, this game does have RPG Maker, does have an RPG Maker background, and that's almost to its detriment, I think.
What do you mean background?
That's kind of where it came from originally, because I watched the dev blog.
Got it.
And so it went from an RPG Maker into kind of a 2D, 3D thing that they've mishmashed together.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's almost to its detriment, because you and I mentioned that
it's very much to its detriment.
because it's got very basic battle mechanics. It's turn-based. Now, again, it is turn-based, but it's got very basic turn-based actions.
It looks like almost active time combat system, but it's when you look at, so you can pause frame on the trailer and see the combat mechanics, and it's very basic, bare bones stuff of I can count it on one hand. You have your attacks, you have your magic, you have your items, defend,
and
flee. Like,
so yeah, it's very basic in that aspect, and I don't see them changing that, to be honest. Because that seems like I don't know. It almost seems like a very ingrained type of thing. And if they do change it, it would be for the better. Because as you discussed, primarily, it's very boring,
antiquated. It's
right. I guess not. Boring is a wrong word to use, right?
It's, put it this way: it is more antiquated than Dragon Quest XI, which a lot of people complain about the combat being fairly antiquated. And Dragon Quest XI has the exact same combat system that this one's portraying, with some additional mechanics. This one doesn't have, or seemingly doesn't have, any additional mechanics. We don't know for certain.
Right.
We're basing this off of just the screenshot, so I don't want to poo-poo on this too much. But when you have, those 5 options for combat, it doesn't make for very interesting combat. And those are, sadly, the 5 options that you typically see in all the RPG Maker games, which makes them very similar and very unworthwhile.
Right. Again, combat-wise, I think what they're doing aesthetically is really, I like the look of it. They got something there. It's just, I think the combat really needs to be worked through.
Yeah, hardcore. This game will be make or break based on the combat system, because, visually, it doesn't look like an RPG Maker game, but as soon as that combat rolls up, it looks like an RPG Maker game. And yeah, this is going to be like one of those like wolves in sheep's clothing. This game is going to release. A lot of people are going to pay attention to it, and a lot of critics are going to pay attention to it because it visually looks interesting. And then they're going to play it, and oh man, it's going to get a whole lot of low scores. Yeah. I can already tell.
Yeah, well, I hope that something does change on that. I just kind of wanted to do a little shout out there. Something to keep an eye on there.
It looks promising, though.
Yeah. So, some really cool news. You just finished this game.
Yep.
The Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Coming to the Switch, March 6th. Now, this is going to kind of lead into this could lead into a bigger discussion.
How so?
How so? I'll tell you how so. So, this is kind of a big announcement.
Game card not included.
You're right. So the full you have to download the entire game.
Oh man, why would you do that?
So with the
$60 game, and you have to download the whole thing. You don't even get a cartridge.
You don't get a cartridge. Now with The Witcher, the entire game came on the cart. Why couldn't they do it? Maybe that's not in their budget.
They're saving money.
Right, for sure.
They're pushing the cost onto the consumer.
But anyway, and they're not giving you a discount on that back end either. So they're not doing anyone any favors other than for themselves.
They want money.
But here's the thing. This was announced by them. This is something that's usually, I think, saved for Nintendo Direct, to be honest with you.
Well, the game was already announced for Switch.
You're right, but not right. Okay, so just not the release date.
Not the date. Yeah.
But my point is that something like this could be saved for Direct, and we have another, I think, 1 or 2 games kind of further down the news where it serves the same way. So, like, why aren't they waiting for a Nintendo Direct? Why wasn't this pushed in a Nintendo Direct? And my thought is that we're getting one soon, and it's going to have big hitters in it.
It's jam-packed.
It's going to be jamming 94.5.
Yeah.
and only a few will get that one.
Oh, man.
Obviously that's coming out soon. So if you've been waiting for it, I would still wait on this though.
Yes, wait for it just to see how it runs and how it performs. My guess is that Digital Foundry is going to do a piece on it. They usually cover a lot of like third-party ports to Switch.
And
from
they
more
showed
powerful
side by
systems.
side, right? So definitely, I would wait for this.
As long as it isn't horrendous and the frame rate doesn't stutter and it doesn't get too blurry, like I'm fine with like de-res the textures, keep the pixel resolution relatively high, right? And like don't go below 720.
Yeah, we don't want a 480 game on our hands here.
Lower the level of detail. Lower that. I don't need to see a mile down the road. Like lower that stuff. Lower the object detail. Lower the texture detail. But if the pixel resolution is relatively high, right? I don't get that blurry vision stuff. That's good.
Yeah. But like I said, I would definitely buyer beware or just kind of wait and see on this.
This game does not push the modern consoles.
No.
So,
well, if you have your Wolfenstein on there, I think this is kind of in the same realm.
Wolfenstein's a way better looking game than this.
Well, I know. That's what I mean. It's in the same vein as far as game types, maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to draw some similarities there. I think if that can run, this should be able to run.
Yeah, and Wolfenstein, was Wolfenstein running 60 on modern console on PS4 and Xbox?
I'm not sure.
Because that might have been running on 60, and almost for certain it's not running 60 on PS4, the Outer Worlds.
Right.
So it's probably going to be 30 frames. Almost certainly it's going to be 30 frames on the Switch.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, like there's no need for it to be 60. It's an RPG.
All right, and now moving on, we have some Pokemon Sword and Shield success. They've surpassed 16 million units shipped worldwide. Where are the people that were boycotting this game? Are they in there somewhere?
No, they boycotted it.
Okay, they boycotted. Guess what? It did not have an effect whatsoever.
There wasn't enough of them. They were the squeaky wheel.
Oh,
and that wheel was like this big. It was like little tiny wheel.
And to put that into perspective, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sold, I don't know if this number is to date, but it sold almost 12 million units.
Yeah. So it sold a third more than that.
That's insane numbers.
Yeah.
Insane numbers. And this has kind of surpassed, I think, almost everything Pokemon.
I think that these numbers are comparing not lifetime, but comparing opening.
Okay, so first month or so?
Like first quarter.
Okay.
Kind of sales. So I think that's what these numbers are comparing. Because there was another podcast I listened to where they actually broke down the lifetime sales of some Pokemon games, and the original Pokemon, Red and Blue, is like over 40 million.
Yeah, we're not going to get that detailed, but there's a good article on RPG site. I'm not sure where they got their information. They have some of that information we're kind of talking about there.
Well, I think this is part of the weekly report or whatever.
Okay.
From Nintendo directly.
Oh, let's see what they have.
It was part of Nintendo's quarterly report that
just happened, right?
Yeah, and Nintendo announced a bunch of other stuff. They announced like their top best-selling Switch games, which is Mario Kart 8, followed by Smash, followed by Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, very close to Mario Odyssey. There hasn't been a Zelda game that has outsold a Mario game, I think, ever.
Ever?
In Breath of the Wild, it's pacing to outsell Mario Odyssey, both in Japan and obviously it sold really well. I don't know how well the numbers on the US I'm not too certain of, but Breath of the Wild pace-wise is outpacing Mario in Japan, and you can see these numbers. I mean, they're so close,
almost identical. Yeah,
they're so close. They're like 200K away from one another, 250K away from one
and these
another.
Are just Japanese, right? Just Japan.
This is worldwide.
Is it worldwide? Okay.
Oh no, in Japan, Zelda's at like 2.5 million, I think.
All right.
So yeah, And then you have Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is the fifth best-seller on Switch. So to put it in perspective, fifth best-selling game.
Just came out.
And it just came out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's actually going to beat Smash. Potentially. It might beat Smash.
It's still got time. Still
Smash,
has time.
the best-selling fighting game of all time.
Anyways, we're going to debate on whether or not that's a fighting game. But moving on, Fallout 76, you could not leave our little hearts here at Switchrpg podcast. They're getting new DLC. Isn't that exciting? And the DLC is bringing along NPCs.
This is not new.
What?
This was delayed. This is supposed to come out in October.
What are you talking about? Yeah. This is the Wastelanders update. They're giving us NPCs now.
They promised us this update back in, I think, either E3 or before E3. They promised us this update for October. I think October. Right around the October time frame. And then in October, or right around that time frame, they then announced, oops, our bad. Delay.
Was that the time Fallout 1, their subscription service came out? No, I think that was actually later. It was definitely later.
Not sure.
But
it might have been prior to that.
Anyway, man. Yeah. So yeah, Fallout 76. You got your NPCs.
You're fine. No, we still don't have it yet because it's not coming out until April 6th.
Yeah, until April 6th. So yeah, Fallout 76. Whoever's playing that, you're gonna have to wait.
Wait. Again, now you know how long you're gonna wait for.
Here's the thing: if you want to play a Fallout game, definitely don't let it be Fallout 76.
No.
But if you want to play a decent Bethesda MMO, I think Elder Scrolls Online is.
Don't play an MMO.
Or why?
It's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap. But Elder Scrolls Online is an MMO, but I never paid anything playing that game, and I had a pretty dang good time, to be honest with you. I thought it was a good Elder Scrolls experience for the content that it provided.
They just don't end, and they just keep keep wanting you to play.
No, there's definitely that's
the trap,
right, and that's definitely the trap. There's just no end in sight, and that's the whole persistent world type of thing. But
it's not worthwhile. Just you want a good fleshed out story that actually ends. Play Xenoblade.
X.
Any of them.
But anyway, Fallout 76. Enjoy your NPCs.
Hey, you know what? Our opinion. This is Bethesda's opportunity to right their wrong with this Wastelanders update. So I just want to point that out. Like, I'm totally open to having this update, this DLC update, whatever it may be, this patch, this major expansion, fix Fallout 76. Because I was actually looking very much forward to playing Fallout 76.
I have Fallout 76.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
That's okay. I think I tell you this, and you say the same thing every single time. I've played it once and never picked it up again. It's just, and I think the initial launch of Fallout 76 was just so bad and broken that I never went back to it. I'm like, there's just so many better things to play.
I was hoping, because I actually did want to do multiplayer Fallout in a not MMO style world, but like multiplayer enough where I could play with my girlfriend and stuff like that, because we both love the Fallout franchise. I had a lot of hopes for this, and Bethesda let me down.
Yeah, they did. Bethesda's on thin ice in my personal opinion.
Please right the wrongs, Bethesda.
All right. Sega reports console games underperformed in the third quarter. And
their console games or just console games?
Their console games. Now, their console games are it's a kind of limited scope. So, for example, they had Persona 5 and a bunch of other not smaller games, but just lesser known games, maybe
like Sakura Wars.
Yeah, just
isn't that the questionable shoot the gun at ladies?
I have no idea.
To make them
I think you've said enough, and honestly, I don't know. But they had Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games at Tokyo. I think if you were to just take out the Tokyo and just make it an Olympic Games or kind of a Mario and Sonic sports type of game, probably would have done better. I think that also the timing on this release, it was way off from the actual Tokyo Olympics. Or it is, because the Tokyo Olympics have yet to happen.
Yeah.
So the timings on some of their things are just bad.
They probably should have spent more time on the game, polishing it up, expanding it, add more content, stuff like that. Because actually, the game is selling decently in Japan.
And it is. Yeah. I don't think a game like that tends to lend itself here in the U.S. or the kind of the West here. Obviously, it's a Tokyo Olympics. It makes sense for it to kind of sell well over there.
Well, it's because the West knows that we're more aware that even though it has Mario in the title, there's another name in that title that automatically, Mario raises and the other name lowers, so it kind of brings down the Mario.
Yeah. That name is Sonic, right?
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, I said it. I'm not a Sonic fan, and nor am I a Sega fan, to be honest with you. I think for the most part, a lot of their games just don't appeal to me. And this goes back like to the original Sega days, like the Mega Drive, Genesis. Even those games kind of never spoke to me.
They had some good quality games, but they kind of lost their way in the Saturn, and they almost never were able to recover.
Right.
The Dreamcast did help, but at that point, when they refocused,
it was just too expensive to keep up with the Dreamcast. It was just too. I think this is what happened.
Well, it was a bad launch, and they were going up against the. It was too complicated to develop for. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
But with Sega, they got out of the console business, and I was hoping that they would actually step up their game and focus, because they could focus entirely on
game development
and do some incredible stuff. And they have some great stuff here and there. They do own some Western developers. For example, they own.
I'm not sure, but
people make the War series, Total War, Assembly.
I'm not sure. Creative Assembly.
Yeah,
that's it.
So they do like the Total War.
Yeah, those are the RTSs. Yeah. But in terms of RPGs, it's more their classics.
Oh, they're Total War, Warhammer.
Come on,
dude, that game is hardcore RPG. It's just grand scale. It's got grand strategy elements.
Right.
The wazoo.
Yeah, but those aren't RTSs. We've discussed this before. Don't make great for console release.
Oh, I don't think it's available on console. It's a PC game.
That's what I mean. We're talking about Nintendo Switch here.
We're talking about their poor console sales.
Sure. But I want to know,
And that kind of makes sense, right? Like, because they're Western developers that they have acquired, like Creative Assembly. I don't know all of them, but Creative Assembly, they focus on PC. Mm-hmm. Like, they do not make console games.
Right.
So who's making these console games? A lot of their console games is the core Sega people, right?
Right.
They do have publishing rights to some other games, like the original Bayonetta. They have publishing rights to. They have publishing rights to the, as you said, Persona.
Yeah, right. But Persona itself locked itself into exclusivity, so there's no way for that to come to the Nintendo Switch, which would, if that game was on the Nintendo Switch, they would have no issues with saying that they didn't do well this quarter or third quarter. But for the Nintendo Switch, it's really just Persona 5 Scramble.
Yeah, well,
and your Mario.
Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yakuza 7, which is like an RPG.
Yeah.
They turned it into a legit RPG.
That's not it. It's an okay game, It's really not going to.
Football Manager.
I'm sorry, what?
Right here. Football. But this is, I'm guessing this is some of the, let's see here, blah, 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 stuff. They're naming some of the other franchise, Football Manager being one. That probably actually does make them a decent amount of money.
It actually does really well in
Total War
in the European market.
And the Yakuza. So those are probably their successful franchises. Is the Football Manager, Total War, and Yakuza series. That nailed them about a little over 12 million units. Let's see, fiscal year, an additional. Okay, so they did 7 million of units of new games, and then over 12 million of previously released games, which was Football Manager, Total War games, and Yakuza stuff. So, like, their successful stuff is successful. Their new stuff that they've been cranking out is probably not up to par. Not up to par, not up to standards. Yeah.
But what I hear is that Sega does have some stuff up its sleeve.
What you hear?
What I hear.
Well, what they are tooting a lot is that they have stuff. They've been doing like a Dragon Ball thing where they're like in the background, charging up, they're screaming, they're like, Rah. They're doing a lot of screaming on Twitter, they're doing a lot of screaming like on the social medias, they're going, Rah. And everyone's like, Master Roshi's like, what's he doing?
That was a lot of Dragon Ball Z explaining. But hopefully, I mean, it can only benefit us. So hopefully they do have something going on back there in the back rooms with whatever that dude is doing back there.
If they go golden hair or not. If they go, supersonic or not.
Oh, boy. All right. Moving on. Saints Row, March 27th, $40. So, again, this is one of those announcements that I think could have been in a direct and it would have had the same impact. So Saints Row 3 is, I believe, the highest rated of the Saints Row games. And 4 kind of dropped the ball from what 3 was, because they kind of put things a little bit they put the ball a little bit too far into crazy territory. They went loony.
They went very loony. They went like full blown like superhero Matrix style stuff. But yep, they're bringing it March 27th, $40. And yeah, it could have been another sort of bullet point, very quick hot tip that could have been in a direct.
Right, along with your BioShock and your Metro Redux.
I think the BioShock is still going to be inside.
Right, but that's what I mean. Those are bigger names that could have gone into a direct, and they're not there now.
No, that will be. The BioShock one is still like not fully confirmed.
Right, it's been a rumor, or still a rumor at this point.
It was a leak.
All right. Retro Studios, our favorite developers, have taken on a new art director. And this new art director is formerly of EA DICE. And you and I noticed a few things. We went into his LinkedIn page.
Yep.
And he's done a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
On the
like triple A stuff.
Yeah, so kind of going, I'm going to go from not the most recent stuff. So he's on Medal of Honor, Battlefield 3, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Battlefield 5.
As an art director.
Just as an art director. And
he in previous games, he was a lead artist, he was a level artist, a character. So, like, he worked his way up the totem pole, proving his art skills, and then got into the position of art director for DICE. As you know, DICE created the Frostbite engine, which is a very beautiful looking, very robust engine. Star Wars. Battlefront.
Right.
Battlefront 2 and the Battlefield games.
But one of the things, obviously, it's really obvious, is that they're all first-person shooters.
Yes.
They're all first-person shooters, and Metroid Prime 4 is a
first-person adventure.
Is it a Metroidvania? What do we call Metroid at this point?
All right, when they announced Metroid Prime, they didn't want to call it first-person shooter, so they called it first-person adventure.
Yeah, whatever.
Because having Metroid series in first-person was a hard pill to swallow for hardcore fans.
Yep.
So they had to kind of like steer that and sort of like convince people that it's worthwhile by saying it's a first-person adventure. It's not a shooter. It's not going to be a Halo game.
And it's not a.
It's more than that.
It is more than that.
It totally is.
So yeah, very interesting. His background is on first person shooters. So I think they have the right person. Involved.
And this is definitely the right person for the right job at the right company. This person is totally working on Metroid Prime. No questions about it. There was like earlier news stuff, maybe like half a year ago or something like that, about Retro Studios hiring for multiple positions across the gamut for the Metroid franchise. So like, this is totally for Metroid. This is the confirmation. What was it, a tweet?
This year? I'm
the
not
person itself?
No, I think someone probably
right here.
Okay,
that's a tweet, right? Yeah. So this is a tweet basically saying, hey, final day working at EA. Now I'm starting my new job here. So like, there were talks. These talks probably went like a month ago or so ago, maybe up to 2 months ago. And probably this person's submission was probably like 3 months ago. So this person definitely wanted in. It's not like they were in a bad company to work with. This person's the art director already in a cushy job. This person wanted in at Retro Studios because Retro was working on Metroid. So this person purposely wanted to work on the Metroid franchise.
And that's essentially what you want. You want people passionate about what they're doing.
Who wouldn't want to work on a Metroid franchise?
Me.
You wouldn't want
No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, very cool. I think it's nice to see this, like you had said, kind of confirmation into what they're doing. Now, they're definitely doing other stuff, but it's nice to see that they're moving along.
I think they already did other stuff. Just like how...
When I say other stuff, I mean other IPs, other games.
That's what I'm saying. I think Retro Studios already did those other games. And they're just sitting on it because Nintendo told them to sit on it.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what Nintendo does. They will sit on games.
Pikmin 4.
Among many, many others.
Right.
They will sit on games, not even release them, wait 20 plus years, and then finally release them. Star Fox 2.
Star Fox 2.
It was done.
Right. It was done.
They sat on it for like 20
But it also wasn't very good.
I would have been blown away. As a last hurrah on
and I think that was very late into the Super Nintendo's life cycle. They had already moved on.
It wasn't because the game was bad. It was because they didn't want to show that game off when they were promoting the N64.
Right. That's what I mean. It was kind of just too late in its life cycle to move on.
And Star Fox 64 came out in the N64 relatively early.
Right.
So they didn't want to do Star Fox 2 and then like half a year later or a year later, Star Fox 64.
Kind of compete with themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
It would look ugly. It would be like a fish out of water thing.
Yeah. Be no good. So yeah, EA.
Yep.
Speaking of EA.
More EA news.
More projects for the Nintendo Switch.
So they pull the 180.
Yeah, they go from, I don't think the Nintendo Switch is going to be for us.
Yeah, they said something along the lines of like, we have data that proves that our franchises just don't sell as well on the Nintendo console as they do on the the Xbox and the PlayStation.
Right. But I mean,
that's not where our audience is at.
I think when you look at EA, I think what they're talking about is their sports franchises.
Absolutely.
But the thing of it is,
more than that.
Oh, they're definitely more than that. But that's the majority of them, I think, or the majority of their earnings are their sports franchises. But the problem is, when Nintendo gets their sports franchises, they're not full packages. Do you know what I mean? There's stuff that's cut out of them, and maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they're, like I said, it's not as powerful as some of these other guys, but when you get that, I mean, what do you expect? It's
an inferior product, like not just graphically, it's just a legitimate inferior product overall. It's like the worst case of testing the waters. That's what EA has done throughout history, when it comes to, I think, starting from the Wii or maybe even the GameCube and onwards, they've just been always testing the waters with something new. They tested the waters for the Wii U. Don't blame them, though. Don't blame them.
No.
Definitely don't blame them. And then with the Switch, but the Switch was like an obvious success, and they were still releasing these test the waters kind of comments, especially when you have like companies like Bethesda backing up the Switch.
Like almost right away.
Yeah, right away.
Well, Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
Well, Skyrim runs on everything.
Well, they're still backing it up. And yes, EA backed it up, but they backed it up in such a glass half full,
Yeah. Kind of halfway.
They didn't give it a legitimate, testing of the Switch. All right, we're going to bring our best to the best that we can do to the Switch. They didn't do that.
Here are some games that I think...
They brought an MVP.
Right.
That's a sports reference, and it's a software development reference wrapped up, and it's also a diss.
Take that, EA.
Yeah, take that, MVP.
So I just put into the little Google search here some EA games. Yep. Now, I don't know if they know... I think these games are still...
So franchises.
Yeah, I think these franchises are still under the EA umbrella. I'm not entirely sure. So the Battlefield series, I think, could be on the Switch.
Absolutely.
Then we have Burnout, which is
that could definitely make it.
A race car game.
There's actually plenty of room for arcadey and realistic, just racing games in general.
Yeah,
especially at the high caliber of Burnout franchise and Need for Speed. That's another one.
That's another one EA has. The Sims. Why isn't the Sims? Like, Sims could easily be put on here with expansions.
That would sell like hotcakes.
Of course it would. You could take the Sims anywhere.
You want a game that will sell better than Animal Crossing on Nintendo's own system? It would be The Sims. Now, it'd have to be a proper Sims. It can't be EA going half in.
Right. That didn't work. Dead Space, I believe, is also a EA product. Yep. They have some puzzle-y type of games like Peggle. Unravel is kind of a platformer type of game. Mirror's Edge could definitely be on there. And I think a Star Wars Battlefront, maybe the first one. I don't know about the second one, but I think a Star Wars Battlefront could make its way there.
Jeez, they have so many games.
And those are some of the more recent EA games. Also, is Dragon Age Inquisition or...
yeah. Dragon Age.
Why can't we get a Dragon Age?
Don't give us Inquisition. We don't want it.
Inquisition wasn't as that bad.
We don't want it. Don't do it.
I would take it.
Don't bother.
I would
don't
take
bother.
it.
I wouldn't take it.
I'll take it.
No.
Forget about this guy.
Dragon Age Inquisition?
Yes. I will take it. Over nothing? I would certainly take it.
No, because that...
I'm not paying for it.
The reason why I don't want to take it... Look, it's over nothing. When you put it like that, sure. But it's not over nothing. There is a cost to it. Because it's not going to be successful. And EA is going to be like, see? We brought your hardcore games to the Switch and it didn't sell.
Yeah, I guess there could be some of that.
They should actually put some thought and bring games that will do well and are great games. First off, it has to be a great game.
Make a new game. How about Dragon Age Tactics? That seems to be the the thing to do.
Apex Legends.
That's a free to play game, right?
Yep.
I mean, we have Warframe, so I don't see. Maybe that's in the same vein.
Fortnite.
That Fortnite thing.
Fortnite's on Switch.
Yeah. Come on.
There's plenty of free to play games that are battle royale. I know Apex is like slightly different, but they could bring that. You know what I would love is Titanfall. Titanfall, which EA...
Titanfall 2 was actually really, really good.
That's mainly the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. And it's too bad that it was just on its last leg for whatever reason. It didn't get the notoriety.
The problem with Titanfall 2, first off, it's a great game. I haven't played it yet, but review score-wise, and I want to play this game because it has mechs. and I just love mechs. But Titanfall 2's problem, I don't know if you remember, was its release window. EA did the biggest slap themselves on a forehead or hit their forehead against the wall moment, whatever it is. They released it sandwiched in between two major games,
yes.
one of which is their own franchise. They competed against themselves.
Right. Yeah. What game was it?
I think it was Battlefield.
Yeah.
It was one of the Battlefield games.
No good. You don't do that.
No.
But they have a library list of games they could reach out and go for. So yeah, bring them on. Bring them on.
Look, EA makes some great games. Some absolutely great games. They make so many games. Some of them are bound to be great, and they are. Mm-hmm. So yeah, EA saying that they want to bring more stuff to Switch, just bring it over. Make sure it's good quality.
That's it.
Focus on the quality.
And bring Dragon Age. So, Nintendo's Shuntaro Furukawa.
Yep.
Thank you for saving me there. Says, we have no plans to launch a new Nintendo Switch model during 2020. And that goes against a lot of the rumors that were circulating about a Nintendo Switch Pro coming out. Yep. Now, it doesn't mean as soon as, the calendar page turns January 1st, 2021, that a new model comes out. That could still happen.
It won't.
It won't, but I mean, the possibility is there if that's what he's saying, that in 2020 we're not getting a new iteration.
What it could happen is a early spring 2021. That's the earliest I could see.
I could dedefinitely see the same time the Switch release, the March.
Switch. Because March is a good time because it lines up with certain big-ish holidays where people do kind of buy gifts, right? It's after the Chinese New Year. I know there's other Asian cultures that celebrate that sort of February New Year time frame, late January.
I think it's late January because they're actually celebrating it kind of right now.
Yeah. So February-ish. And then March has things in early April, so right around that time. So it's a good period to potentially release something at the earliest, since obviously, as this article reads, there's nothing coming out this year.
And that's okay.
It's beyond okay. It's actually a good thing.
Are you saying that because you think that the Nintendo Switch, the next generation or the next iteration, will just be that much better?
Yeah. Well, it means that, yes, the next hardware iteration is going to be better, meaning this is a cost thing, right? The longer you delay things, the cheaper the cost of the next leap in hardware is going to be. The next leap has been out there, right? The Tegra X2 has been out,
right? But that's the thing,
for years.
Though you continue to wait. You're developing and working on older technology, and that's the kind of what Nintendo is dealt with the initial launch.
All technology is old,
right? I mean,
every single chip,
right.
and these are customs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's based on the Tegra X1 architecture, but there's customization there. The next iteration, I can imagine, being Tegra X2,
or just something different altogether,
a custom variation of it, and the longer it's already been out, right? It's mass produced and all that stuff. The longer they wait, the cheaper. The bigger bang for their buck they're going to get, which means cheaper prices for the end user. They could do other stuff like increase the screen size, maybe, likely increase the screen resolution, so the quality of the screen on the device itself, make it 1080 capable instead of just 720.
On the device itself. I think just more graphical power. I would appreciate more graphical power, along with better battery. Better battery.
That's
what you're fighting always.
Well, what I'm saying is, by increasing the native resolution on the screen, the portable screen, you have to, just by the nature of it, have to have that more horsepower there. Mm-hmm. So just by doing that, if that became a truth, whatever it is, then you can, as a consumer, legitimately expect that the hardware power has gone up almost twofold. because that's about relatively speaking, that's about how much horsepower it takes to go from 720 to 1080. It's about twice as much horsepower.
Yeah.
And by horsepower, I mean computer power.
Computer horsepower.
Terra.
Not Need for Speed horsepower.
By the way, FLOP stands for Floating Point Operations.
Nerd. Right. Moving on to the Platinum Direct. I don't know what to call this. News segment? The Platinum news segment.
The Platinum section.
Platinum section.
Yeah.
All right. So Platinum there's a lot of buzz around Platinum right now. For example, one of which, you got to look up flops.
I just want to make sure I'm not like, yeah, all right, I got it. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Are you happy with yourself right now?
You know, sometimes I just don't want to look like an idiot. We messed up last week. When are we bringing that up, by the way?
Okay, actually, we'll bring it up right now. Last week, during our remake, refuse, our triple R segment.
Our triple R's, yeah.
We referred to Children of Mana as a remake.
Yes.
It is not a remake.
Very incorrectly.
Yes.
And
we did that a few times, actually.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we had Sword of Mana in the discussion as well, and we ended up taking that one out and putting Children of Mana in there or something like that. Sword of Mana was in the discussion, and that one is the remake of Final Fantasy Adventures.
And that's the one that I played and beat, you played and beat.
Yeah.
And we both didn't play Children of Mana.
That was the problem, too. So we stand corrected.
We were confused.
Yes, it happens. We are old. Well, I am old.
Apologies.
You're young.
And we know now.
There's no excuse for you.
We know now that there is a little bit of redeeming factors to Children of Mana being a dungeon crawler type of procedurally generated sort of just grind fest, dungeon crawling grind fest that it was, which is part of the reason why people didn't like it. But that does make it, as a Mana series thing, it makes it fairly unique.
Yeah, of the Mana series, it's very... very unique. But yeah, just putting that out there. We were wrong. It happens.
It still gets refused.
It still gets refused. That's right. So yeah, moving on to the Platinum news section. We'll hit this article first. So Eurogamer.pt, that's Portugal.
Hey.
Yes, way to go. Força Portugal. They had mentioned that Platinum was very much interested in obtaining or reobtaining.
Whoa. Did you read? This is in Portuguese.
I can read in Portuguese.
All right. I pulled up the article. I don't know why you... Did you just do this to spite me?
No, I don't think I did it to spite you. But anyway.
There's nothing for me to pull up.
Platinum,
I can't read that.
You don't have Google Translate on your machine?
I didn't feel like clicking the button.
Anyway, yes. Platinum Games is very much interested in getting their Scalebound IP back from, or purchasing it from Microsoft. So Scalebound is a series.
By the way, that is different from what I've heard, which was they want to revitalize it, but them actually buying it back from Microsoft, I didn't hear about that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what the article.
I think you have like a leg up.
I don't have a leg up.
I think you have a leg up on like other news agencies because you have the capability of reading the Portuguese.
Oh, maybe that's the case, or maybe I'm just not translating it properly. But when I read it, they're wanting to purchase the rights to Scalebound.
Your translation.
My translation. Giovanni Pimentel translation. So they want to purchase the rights for Scalebound, and obviously they want to, I'm sure with the backing of Tencent, perhaps
the funding.
Right, the funding and the backing. Yeah, the backing.
Seed money.
To put it out proper.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because from what we saw on Scalebound, it looked really, really good. Or really interesting.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah, I'll say interesting.
Yes.
And it actually reminds us of one of the games we'll be discussing in a second.
Yeah.
I didn't know of that game, and again, maybe it's just bad luck, but they are in look.
I need to do a little bit of research of that.
Very, very similar. But yeah, interesting story on Eurogamer.pt regarding Platinum. And so yeah, with Platinum, they've launched a website, a teaser website. At the time I linked this article, there was really no other news, but more has come out since. They're calling it the Platinum, or the website is called Platinum 4. And this kind of stems back, you had mentioned this. I totally did not remember this.
Yeah.
Something called the Capcom 5.
Yeah.
And there are people who were around then that are in Platinum right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so there's a lot of similarities in that there.
Yeah, so the Capcom 5 was 5, I think it was like announced during like an E3 of some sort.
Yeah, so 5 games.
There were 5 Capcom exclusive games that were coming out to the GameCube. And this was a big deal because one of those games was Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. And if you could imagine Resident Evil 4 coming to GameCube at that time exclusively, seemingly fully exclusive, was a huge deal. It was like a major shock, and Resident Evil 4 was looking amazing.
Right.
Along with product number 3, Beautiful Joe, Killer 7, and this last oddball game, which is Dead Phoenix, which got canceled. So, the Capcom 5 actually only turned out to be 4.
Capcom 4, Platinum 4.
And all these games came out first on the GameCube. Some of them didn't remain exclusive. Only one of them was truly exclusive, which was product number 3. But,
and the reason for that, it wasn't that good of a game to be put anywhere else.
Yeah, and some of these companies that develop these games are some of the people that formed Platinum. For example, you can see a lot of that DNA, like Beautiful Joe. For example, Beautiful Joe, you can see that DNA in another game that Platinum has made for the Wii U that we'll talk about very soon. It's just oozing Beautiful Joe, the aesthetic and all that stuff. So you can very much tell that there's a connection there. And one of these games, called Dead Phoenix, you can continue.
Yeah,
I mean, I need to do some research.
That's okay. So now, if you look at Dead Phoenix, I know this is like we're in kind of like a conspiracy territory here. Yeah. This is really cool. So if you look up Dead Phoenix, if you watch a video of it, and then you also watch a video of Scalebound, like you had mentioned, I hate to use the word, but the DNA is all over it. Can I say that on this show?
Yeah,
the DNA is all over it. It sounds pretty nasty, but anyway. Yeah, you could definitely see some similarities there. So and even more so because they were both canceled. So it's just
that is funny.
So I hope they do something with Scalebound. I think there's some really good potential there. Yeah.
So Dead Phoenix, if you ever look at old footage of it, you can see like old trailer footage of it. It kind of gives, and I mentioned this. As I was watching, kind of like Kid Icarus Uprising vibes.
Yeah, Uprising.
It looked very much like that. I'm trying to figure out who developed Dead Phoenix or who was developing Dead Phoenix, because that's sort of like
you don't think it was internally developed by Capcom?
Well, no, because a lot of the Killer 7, that's a Suda game. And now they may have been companies that were part of, or different development groups that then spawned away. Yep. They left Capcom. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way to fully draw the connection between Dead Phoenix and Scalebound.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at them, you can see.
There is, yes.
You can see that connection.
There is a clear connection because it does have the big beasties, and it does have one of the big beasts. I think it showed 2 in the trailer.
Yeah, right.
And one of them being very much a dragon.
Right. But the look and feel is all there. So it's really interesting to see what else they're going to have in store. For the first announcement of the 4, it was the announcement of Wonderful 101 coming to Kickstarter. And that is I think that's a very bold move on their part to put one of their games and not fund it themselves. So to put the funding on the people. I think that's almost, like I said, it is a very, very bold strategy, especially because Tencent is backing them now. And I don't know. I find it kind of skeezy in that way. Now,
very.
Yeah, so it just kind of grosses me out when they do that. When
they're proof of concepting at the best, they are proof of concepting in order to get additional private funding.
That's basically what it is.
At the worst, they're leveraging a platform that's intended for independent, small business, struggling artists, like it's intended,
who need that help,
who need the assistance, who need the platform not only for marketing and making themselves more aware to the grander scale, but also getting the actual funding. Platinum don't need the funding. They got Tencent.
Right. They definitely don't need the funding. So this Kickstarter launched, and within a day, I think it was already at $1 million funded. And to kind of put it into perspective, the initial goal, I believe, was about $50,000 for the Switch version. And they nailed that out of the park. So, and that is an incredibly low dollar amount to have for a goal. That almost leads me to believe that this was already pretty much done with a little bit.
What was that dollar amount?
$50K. Right.
That don't make no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So that low of a goal.
Oh, maybe 50K in yen is 101.
I think it's
yen.
I don't know. Maybe they're just a play on yen versus dollar. I think it's just such a low dollar amount that it's almost just like this is just already something that they already had.
It could be like 1,010,000 yen.
I don't think it's a play on anything. I just think it's just a number that they put out there.
Yeah.
Because all the other numbers make sense, like 250,000, 500,000, whatever.
It kind of shows like their lack of confidence.
I don't think it's lack of confidence. I think they knew they were going to do it, which is why they had it that number so low. They knew they were going to hit that goal.
Maybe they wanted to hit a record, like a Kickstarter record, like first to be funded, like quickest game to be funded within X number of time.
No, I don't know. Maybe there's some of that, but I don't know. I just think the whole thing is kind of skeezy and kind of garbage. But anyway, the entire thing was backed within a day. I think it was even backed within a few hours for this Wonderful 101. I'm not even a fan of, not a fan. I just don't like Wonderful 101. There are people who enjoy it. That's fine. That's your thing. But I just find it incredibly skeezy for them to do this. Now, is this going to be a trend? I really hope it's not going to be a trend because there are games that definitely need this. For example, a game that I love and treasure, Divinity Original Sin 2. I think at this point, Larian Studios should never do a Kickstarter. That was a Kickstarter project. I think they should never do one ever again. They're a big enough studio to be handling things on this on their own.
Aha. Oh, continue. Sorry. I found the nugget.
I'm so happy for you, studio. I won't say anything. I won't break it on you. But Larian Studios definitely did this. They should never do it again. I really hope they never do it again. They definitely didn't do it with Baldur's Gate. So other studios that have done it and done it successfully are Yacht Club Games with Shovel Knight. This is just off the top of my head.
Look. Perfectly fine for
Wasteland.
Companies, even Larian, which is fairly big, but still, indie enough, and not anymore.
No, not anymore.
Even if they were to do something again with Larian, as long as it seemed like they were actually taking a risk and wanted to sort of use Kickstarter to figure out if it is potentially viable, totally cool with that. But this is a remake of a game. Not a remake, sorry, but like a porting of a game that people have been asking for.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's a Wii U game that no one... Did people play this game?
Yeah, people played it.
Yeah? I don't know.
It scored well enough. So it's not a bad game.
Right. I just hope that we don't see this becoming a trend.
Yeah. So,
with these AAA developers putting things on Kickstarter.
Yeah. So I found a nice little.
You connecting the dots here?
I connected some dots here. So this is on fandom.com. It's the Resident Evil section of fandom.com. And they specifically talk about Capcom Production Studio 4, which is one of the main ones responsible for some of these Capcom 5 stuff. So let's see here. I'm going to read off pretty much verbatim this little tidbit, and I'll point out some of the interesting stuff. So in 2001, Studio 4's development changed significantly at a press conference in which Mikami, and this is Shinji Mikami, which a lot of you should know is a pretty important dude and has since left Capcom and all that stuff. Anyway, offered the studio support for Nintendo's GameCube and announced the Capcom 5, a deal that would result in 4 AAA Studio 4 titles. Wow, it was all made by Studio 4. So 5, they're saying 4 because 1 got canceled, which was Dead Phoenix. Released first on the GameCube, and PlayStation later would get some ports. All right. The deal consisted of Dead Phoenix, a 3D shoot-'em-up, Killer 7, an action-adventure game co-developed with Grasshopper, product number 3, a science fiction blah 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 hero thing, Resident Evil, which is 4 of these, which Shinji Mikami directed, and Beautiful Joe, and product number 3 went to an individual called Hiroshi Shibata. So Hiroshi Shibata, you may need to interrupt me because I didn't actually investigate further than this.
Well,
back me up.
I'm gonna back you up. You went back to the Capcom 4, and I'm wondering if these are all going to be ports or not. I'm hoping that we get some new product out there and not straight up ports like Wonderful 101 is. And I hope they're not all going to be kickstarted projects. Please, for the love of everything, do not make this a proof of concept here. Because I think this will destroy a lot of what other developers are working hard for with publishers and all that stuff. And maybe it will be the new way of working, getting public funding. And I just think that's ugly. Really, really ugly. So back to the Capcom 4.5.
Yeah, this might be a bigger rabbit hole than I thought in order to chase down all this information. So a little bit too much speculation. I'm going to leave it at that, swallow my pride, and give up. Other people that are a bit more dedicated can see if there's actually a direct connection. But I will say there is a decent enough coincidence happening here.
Coincidence, influence, yeah, it's definitely all there.
But yeah, Wonderful 101 is the game that's similar to Beautiful Joe. Like if you just look at the characters, the design of those characters, it's straight out of Beautiful Joe, the same aesthetic. Clearly the Grasshopper studio that worked on Beautiful Joe, many of those people are the people that went into Platinum Games or formed the company or whatever. There's clear overlap between those two.
Sure. Yep. I definitely see that. So yeah, please don't let Kickstarter be the new thing for these.
Big AAA
I would consider these guys AAA. That's just, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me.
They're close enough to AAA.
Yeah, definitely.
The last thing we want is like Activision.
Could you imagine?
The money-grubbing people that they are.
Could you imagine that? That would be terrible.
Just Blizzard showing off their next game on Kickstarter. Oh, the day that Blizzard shows off a game on Kickstarter, I will vomit.
It will be Diablo Immortal. On Kickstarter.
It'll be worse. It'll be Warcraft 3 Reforged again.
Again. Twice times Vanillaware.
Because they couldn't get it right the first time.
All right. So now, listener question. We do have a listener question from our Discord channel. This is Fragger. He is also one of our staff members. He asked the question, where did the fun in gaming go? Everywhere I look, it's metrics, scores, and flaws. What happened to celebrating positives? Have we jumped the no game is good enough anymore? Shock. I think it's definitely important to have fun in gaming. That's really the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
We all want to have fun. But the problem is, and especially in the position that we're in fact, the position that Mike is in as well, is that we are here to kind of inform people. Obviously, there's so much information out there. You can inform yourself. You can formulate your own opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes we are in a position where we can give that opinion out ahead of time, or formulate our own opinion, and we build up enough of a relationship, and people tend to know our tastes. That, hey, if he doesn't like that, or if he likes that game, maybe our tastes align. Maybe I won't like that game either. So what I'm trying to get at is, I think we owe. I don't want you to feel like I'm on a high horse here, but it's almost like an obligation. Like, we owe it to people to tell them our opinion, whether the game is flawed or not.
And to point out those flaws.
Yeah, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
To kind of do that. Now,
and there's so many examples of this, right? For example, the frame rate issues in Breath of the Wild did not bother me whatsoever, and they kind of fixed it eventually through, I think, second or third patch.
But it's important to mention those things.
Yeah, you got to mention, because for some people, some issues, some flaws will be a deal breaker for them, and some issues absolutely won't. And they'll be a deal breaker for me, but they won't be for another person. It is a disservice to talk about games without mentioning their flaws, or mentioning things, even if we don't perceive them to be a flaw, they could be perceived as flaws by others, because those are things that really bother other people but wouldn't necessarily bother us. And everyone, even if the game was for free, it has a cost to people, right? So, we can't just willy-nilly celebrate everything, because nothing would get done. We wouldn't be able to we wouldn't be able to identify.
There'd be no progress in anything.
Well, we wouldn't be able to sort and identify the things that are truly worth our time, our own personal times, however we gauge that, versus other things. And we would just, the deluge, right? Just imagine the Wii, shovelware, those nightmare days. And there being no way to assess the quality of things and to sort of rate things against one another. We would just play all these awful products, these awful things called software that were being pitched to us as games, but weren't. Mm-hmm. We would just be playing them because we had no way, no one was providing that critical analysis to them, letting us know as consumers, as people willing to invest our money, and more importantly, our time into these products. We got to know if it's worth that.
Right.
Some people, their time isn't as valuable to them, but money is. And some people, money isn't as valuable to them, but time is. But either way, we have some degree of some
responsibility.
We do have a responsibility as critics and as people that influencers and stuff like that, to sort of let people know the nuances and both praise the goods, absolutely, but also point out the flaws or other things. And what is a flaw? I mean, sometimes we could review something and just get fixated on a particular subset of flaws, because flaws are very great ways to explain why something isn't going to be worth your time, because the flaw is concrete, right? It's easy to explain that, hey, this thing is not going to review so well, or I'm not going to review something so well because the controls are clunky and non-responsive, or there's low frame rate, low resolution, it's blurry graphics, just the general game design, the dialogue flow, right? There's so many things, but not all games get everything wrong and get everything right. It's just some games will have weird bugs. Some games will have bad dialogue, but great gameplay mechanics. Like we don't know, but we got to point these things out because some people like good dialogue. Some people can write off bad dialogue and be like, whatever, because the gameplay is good, right? We don't know. Our tastes are going to be different from other people's.
Right. And don't get me wrong, there are people that are in kind of a vocal minority out there, and especially if you're in the Twitter land, you're going to see a lot of those people complaining. And
squeaky wheel.
Yep, the squeaky wheel always gets its grease, and maybe that's more of Mike's issue, where people are kind of, just really complaining for the sake of complaining, for the sake of attention, for that sort of stuff. I'm not entirely sure where he's kind of going from. So
just don't put your finger in the air, right? Gauging like the direction of the wind and stuff like that on anything internet related.
Right.
It's like the worst barometer ever invented was like Twitter and social media. Like
in terms of well, yeah, in terms of anything, but I mean, in terms of this, for sure.
The best thing you can do is to go to, I hate to say it seems heavily biased, but I wasn't in these types of positions of reviewing games and stuff like that, and talking about games and being an influencer and stuff like that for far longer than I have been in this particular position of being an influencer and reviewing games and stuff like that. And when I was not in this position, I was listening to people who were in this position because I trusted because they respected they respected the industry. They respected games enough to criticize it. And why did they do that? Because they loved it.
Right. And their taste probably aligned with yours as well.
Well, you pick and choose who you want to sort of align yourself towards. That's why there's so many different kinds of influencers.
Different outlets out there.
Because they certain people gravitate towards certain people and others to others. And that's, people like to have their own flavor of a influencer. And that's great. Like people have different tastes, right? That's variety. Variety is the spice of life.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Well, Mike, I hope we answered your question. I think we did.
Stay away from social media. It's dangerous.
It is dangerous, and it's definitely not a place where if you want a good, concrete, like non-biased opinion. I mean, all opinions are essentially, that's really what they are.
Yeah,
it's
curators have existed for like hundreds, thousands of years. And curators will still exist,
right?
For that reason, because we are sorting through the sea of poo in order to find this
golden nugget,
the golden nugget, right?
The golden poo nugget. Like if you collect all the Korok seeds, isn't that your gift? I think
golden poo.
Yeah, that's terrible. But yeah, thank you very much for your question. And don't forget, everyone, you can leave yourselves a question by emailing us at podcast@switchrpg.com or going on our Discord server in the podcast channel or tweeting at either one of us. You can tweet at me at the Nerd Basement, tweet at Jonny at Punk This Studios.
Yep.
So yeah, you could get to us however you'd like. Some upcoming games for the next week. We have one. Please the Gods.
Please them.
And I think we kind of mentioned this. It's kind of an RNG type of dice battle game. If you're looking for any sort of gameplay, we do have it on our YouTube channel. By the time this posts, I'll have it up there. It's not up there right now. But yeah, it's an okay game. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's I don't know. It's an okay game. I think we did a better job at explaining it last week. So go to last week's episode.
Yeah, go to last week's episode.
So yeah, Please the Gods. That's February 3rd. And kind of for our last hitter of the episode, I have a question for you, Jonny. I'm not even.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Are you okay?
Completely forgot about this. This is the one I like immedimately.
Yeah, you know what? Since you immediately thought of it, I'm not even going to answer.
I'm asking you a question.
No. That's not how this works.
Why can't I ask you the question?
Because I'm not prepared for this.
You had.
I came up with a question.
Okay.
That's as far as I went.
All right.
So, and actually, this was a topic. I want to say this was like a topic on the podcast podcast episode 20 or something like that. It was a long time ago. I don't even remember what my answer was. But the question is, what non-RPG game would you turn into an RPG and how? So basically, what subgenre of RPG would you make it? Or what would you do with it? How would you transform it?
All right, so immediately what came to my mind first is
Zelda. Awesome. Episode over.
fighting game.
A fighting game?
Yeah.
Okay. Now...
And there actually has been RPGs that play very similar to fighting games.
So there's some precedent for this?
Kind of. But it depends on what part of fighting games you're trying to mimic. So there's a huge variety of fighting games and ways to present fighting games.
So, for example, are you talking like a classic arcade, like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat? Or are you talking Smash Brothers fighting game, kind of that style there?
It's so like...
Because that kind of already exists.
Knockout the Arena sumo wrestler style fighting game versus the traditional sort of kill each other's health bars style game. They're close enough to being similar. And I would say that there's been some RPGs that kind of already did this somewhat. For example, Zelda 2. Hear me out. Side scroll combat.
Yep.
One-on-one.
Yeah.
And it's very much a close combat system, and you are dodging. You are trying to block areas, right? High, low, not an intricate.
No, I mean, we're talking early NES days here.
But this wasn't like, it was action-oriented, right? Real-time, action-oriented, and it was very nuanced. You had to block high hits. If the opponents could have shields on them, and you could have to attack low if they were blocking high, or attack high if they were.
So what RPG mechanics would you add to that? Like how would like are you going?
Not to that. Now what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
We want to take like what I want is the hardcore fighting game experience put into RPGs.
Now, and how would you do that? Like, would you go with like a strength, intelligence, that sort of stat system, or
no, stat systems are
that's
antiquated.
That's the way of the that's the old way.
That's the old way. There's so many better ways to do that. So, but yeah, you could do that.
You could do that.
But yes. But I would do it in a way that Tales of Abyss handled their stats. Now, it was more so important with their agility. But that could combine in kind of a Smash. I think a couple of the Smash games. But when you're playing the single player modes of the Smash games, you
Spirit mode.
You could actually like enhance the capabilities of your character, make them deal even more damage by changing what they have equipped. I think the 3DS one for Smash 4 had like sticker stuff that you could sort of equip to your character that would enhance, like if you want them to jump higher, right? So a stat would be jump, right?
Or
jump becomes even higher,
or high punch, or low punch, or block longer.
And when you're blocking, right? Let's say there's a stamina system. You're not depleting as much of your stamina on the block. Or some fighting games, you get a little bit of damage, so you further reduce that damage. Or more importantly, frame data.
What do you mean frame data?
Well, that's the bread. That is the holy
creme de la creme.
That's the creme de la creme of fighting games. Is the frame data.
Right. Okay.
So, for example, you could improve. Like if you improve your agility, you're not playing with agility in this RPG fighting game. You're playing with frame data. That's your stat.
That's how nerdy we are.
Yeah. So you could like reduce your end lag.
Okay.
You could increase your hitbox retention
and your iframes, and
you could increase your iframes, your dodge frames, right? You could shrink your hurtbox. You could increase your hitbox, right? So these types of things, these underlying mechanics that developers have been playing around with and having so much fun with, let's unshackle the developer stranglehold on these fighting game RPG mechanics that already exist, they
and play with them
in fighting games. It's already there in fighting games.
Right.
Turn it into a mechanic that the end consumer can play around with. And oh man, that would be a blast. Like I level up or I get points because I killed enough people or beat up enough people or whatever.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm like, my important decision is, do I want to make my special attacks like maybe I could change the pattern of the special attack. So instead of a Hadouken going straight horizontal, maybe it does an upward angle. Maybe it does an arc. I can Harkuken.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it. And would you do it like a tournament kind of style or like?
So here's the thing. You could totally immerse the player. Like the world doesn't need to be as grandiose. They could do like something more traditional. You're exploring the world and on this big giant epic quest. Or you could do something so silly as character creator and you are like a wrestler.
Okay, so maybe the WWE games are kind of...
Or an MMA fighter.
Yeah, all right.
Like what have you. But it's... and it's all about the role-playing mechanics would be like you are a character, like a wrestler, right? They're just characters. They're putting on a persona.
You have an avatar.
Yeah, and they're interacting, and their dialogue is like taunting other people to challenge them to a match. So that's your dialogue system is like, I pity the fool that doesn't challenge me to the next bout.
For our younger audience, I pity the fool is Mr. T. Look it up. It's not anything great.
Oh, I thought that was my Randy Savage.
No, that's not Randy Savage. Yeah, Mr. T is I pity the fool. Randy Savage is
that's my Savage
snap it
T.
to a Slim Jim. But see, here's the thing with this question, right? We want to say, what non-RPG game would you turn into an RPG? The problem is that RPG elements or inspirations are pretty much everywhere. So it's really hard to really find something and slap RPG, really kind of hardcore, I guess, RPG elements into it. So it's RPG is kind of everywhere, including Zelda Breath of the Wild.
And I know I spent a lot of time talking about like playing around with the bells and whistles stat sort of oriented stuff of like frame data and stuff like that. I know I talked a lot about that, but the stuff that's more exciting is the immersion part, right? That to me is like the big part of RPGs is selling this immersion, feeling like you are a whatever character inside of this whatever world, and having some degree of agency within this world and being able to influence it according to your character build, decisions you're making, dialogue choices, etc.
Well, I'll bring it back to the very beginning of the episode when I talked about Thronebreaker. You could essentially do it like that, where you have an overworld, right? And your battles are fights. Kind of your 1v1 fights or however you want to do it. Where in Thronebreaker, it's a card battle. All right, now you're going to have a 1v1 fight battle. Yeah. And your minutia or your stats are affecting the frame data, as you call it. So it could happen.
Yeah, and look, the Tales franchise is pretty much exactly what I'm talking about.
No, it's not.
It is. It's pretty much a fight. If you ever played the early Tales games, like side scroll action combat system, it was basically an RPG fighting game.
Right.
That's what Tales. That's pretty much how Tales
what it breaks
started.
down to. Yeah.
So you could block, right? It was action oriented. It wasn't turn-based. It was action-oriented, although you could pause the action. But it was action-oriented. You had to block attacks. You could jump over the enemy, side-scroll. Many of the early iterations were purely side-scroll.
Right.
Even the 3D ones, like Tales of Symphonia, that one had a linear action combat system where it still was side-scroll.
Right, but what you've said is really getting down to the nitty-gritty, kind of the finer detail.
The finer details, the frame data, parrying, blocking, stuff like that.
That stuff is not in Tales to an extent.
Yeah, exactly. Going down to that level of hardcore mechanics. But arguably, the Souls games, Dark Souls especially, is very fighting game-esque mechanics are in that, because when you are actually kind of like frame data aware when it comes to Dark Souls, especially when you have to like dodge something. those iframes are an important thing that you are worrying about. And it's a stat that you can actually manipulate in Dark Souls, both with your carrying capacity or wearing like gear that can augment that, like that ring, the dark wood ring.
There's so many rings, I don't even know.
Well, there was like one ring in particular that could make you roll real good.
Real good.
Real good.
Just be naked. You'd be rolling very good.
It takes it to a step further beyond naked.
Wow. Holy. That's incredible. Yeah. That's going to wrap up today's episode of the Switchrpg podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Mike for sending in your question. Keep them coming. Remember, you can listen to the show each and every week at switchrpg.com, or you can subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you listen on an app, please give us a rating and review. We want to climb up those charts. We ask that all the time. It takes 2 seconds. Please do it. All right. And finally, remember, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all your RPG needs for the Nintendo Switch. Until next time, see you later.
Sega, make F-Zero.